wait a few minutes or?
Oh, we're ready?
Yeah, we're rolling.
Okay, so we're just going to start the conversation.
In Newark, for us to continue to lift awareness, because I trust my community and I love my community. I've seen to me, at the end of the day, it's actually not about gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender questioning issues. It's about issues of justice. And I believe that Newark should be a just community. And when you have anybody within your community who are being singled out because of race, religion, sexual orientation, gender, for incidences and practices that are far too common, that are unconscionable to any lovers of justice, something needs to be done.
What was your motivation for raising the gay flag, right? And what's your motivation for, standing up for the right for all couples to marry? And by doing that, making the choice not to marry couples until all couples have the right to be married.
To me, it speaks of an ugly history that we rejected when it came to second-class citizenship for women, for minorities, for Native Americans, blacks, and so forth. So how can we not be tortured by this today? That there are savage injustices being heaped upon Americans because they're being denied rights, privileges, and the dignities of citizenship. I think that we as a nation need to confront the ugly truth of it and decide, are we going to be a nation of freedom and justice and equality, or are we going to countenance and sanction state-sponsored inequality?
It's interesting because the marriage equality fight is sort of the big fight of the day, and I think you'll find a lot of LGBTQ folk, particularly younger folk who are of color, for whom marriage equality is sort of not their sort of fight for the moment, because there's other things that they're contending with: education, having access to safe schools, right. Being in communities where they're not victimized, having access to jobs, and not being harassed. And this brings me to my point about your deciding to make youth issues in the work of the Newark Youth Policy Board one of 3 primary areas to focus on,
right.
which I think is commendable, because there are more than just sort of issues of marriage equality that we're contending with. We have homeless youth.
Right.
We have youth who are being victimized on streets. And so thank you for taking that turn. But what was that about? What was the turn to youth?
No, I appreciate that. I still feel that there's not a sense of urgency around these issues and awareness around these issues. And I feel like there's a lot of good people who are on the sidelines, that's the old saying that's often attributed to Edmund Burke, the only thing necessary for evil to be triumphant is for good people to do nothing. And so for me, there's a big issue with awareness, and that somehow we need to get, not people like me speaking, there's something powerful about a human testimony. Mm-hmm. And I kind of would love for us to figure out ways to get the voices, because it's very hard to hate when you actually see the person, look in their eyes, sit next to them, and see that, you're not that different than me.
We would be remiss not to mention Sakia Gunn, who was a 15-year-old lesbian who was stabbed to death, stabbed in her heart, a couple blocks from here. Her death will be commemorated on May 11th. And in many ways, that begins sort of a contemporary activist moment in Newark that connects to a larger history of LGBTQ movement. But her tragic death, and I'm cautious not to make Sakia a martyr, right? She should not have been murdered, but absolutely catalyzed the community. Before you were mayor.
Yeah.
And in many ways, I feel like has birthed this sort of reinvigorated LGBTQ movement here. And here we are a few weeks away from that day.
I would love in this dialogue, in this 10th anniversary, to talk about this beautiful woman who lived, this gorgeous creation of God that lived, and to celebrate all the youth in this city, and really elevate the voices of our kids who are just like she was, have a testimony, have gifts to give, and in many ways let's celebrate that, because I trust my community and I love my community. It seems that when we are aware of problems, we tend to act and engage more. And so somehow I want to like sound the bell and the alarm that we in our community, as much progress as we've made, we still have young people, we still have brothers and sisters within our community that are not experiencing the depths of justice that we want for ourselves. And that's a call to action, and we all need to take responsibility for that.